Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace and a pair of earrings today, and I'm going to use some of the beads that came in the most recent GGC's treasure bag. It's called Sparkling Romance. I'll put a link in the corner of this video and in the description box below to the video I did where I opened this bag and went over everything that's in it. It's an absolutely beautiful bag. Of course, her bags always are. It's not a subscription that you can sign up for. She just puts one of these out about every other month, and there are only a limited number of them, and they sell out really, really quickly because they're really popular, because they're so beautiful and they're such a great value. She has a website, and if you go to her website and get on her email notification list, a couple of days before she's ready to release a bag, she'll send you an email letting you know she's about to release a bag, and that way you can be ready and hopefully get you one if you want one before they're all sold out. I'll put a link to her website in the description box below. She also does a bunch of tutorials on her YouTube channel after she releases a bag with different projects that you can make using the beads, and showing different ways to use the beads. So if you need some inspiration, she has just a lot of videos to help you out with that. I'll put a link to her YouTube channel in the description box below too. I'm going to be using the 12 by 10 by 5 millimeter electroplated glass faceted heart beads, the 6 by 4 millimeter lavender paint rondelle beads, this really beautiful 27 by 19 by 8 millimeter electroplated crystal heart pendant with silver tone brass bail. I'm going to be using some of the chain that came in the bag, but I don't know how much I'm going to need yet. And here I've got some findings from my stash. I've got a lobster clasp, some 4 millimeter jump rings, an 8 millimeter jump ring, piece of extender chain, and one of the heart charms that came in the bag that I'm going to use to dangle off the extender chain. I've got some 4 millimeter jump rings in here too that I'm going to connect these hearts with. I've got some pieces of 22 gauge German style wire and 20 gauge German style wire. And here I'm going to use 2 of the little hearts for my earrings and 2 of these rondelle beads for my earrings. And of course I've got some ear wires in there. For tools, I'm going to be using my chain nose pliers, my tweezer pliers, my round nose pliers, both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers, the crimping pliers I use to tuck in burrs when I cut off wire, and the cutters that I use to cut craft wire and head pins and eye pins. And I've got my little New Orleans shot glass that I'm going to put my wires in when I get them cut off. I think that's everything. I'll put links to everything I can find links for in the description box below, that everything that didn't come in the bag. So hold on, I'll get some of my beads poured out, some of this out of the way, and get some of my beads out, and I'll be ready. Okay, I've got my little heart beads out here and my pieces of 22 gauge German style wire. I'm going to do some wire wrap links. I've already done a couple of them here. So I've got my piece of, this is going to be an asymmetrical necklace because I'm in an asymmetrical mood today. So I've got one of my pieces of German style wire. It's about 3 inches long. I'm going to go down not hardly 1.5 inches, bend over at a 90-degree angle, take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back till it hits the tool, rotate the plier till they're facing the table, take the shorter piece of wire up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool, kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire. Now I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring this wire down. I'm going to wrap the shorter piece of wire around the longer piece of wire about 3 times. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. Put one of my hearts on here. I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers because I don't want a very long neck. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this piece of wire under until it hits the bottom of the tool. Kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. Take my bent chain nose pliers and hold onto my loop. Bring this wire down. And I want to wrap these pretty tight so that my heart won't spin. I mean, they probably will still spin, but I'm going to try to wrap it tight enough that they won't spin very much anyway. I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. Make sure to get that first wrapping under the bottom of the loop and not over the top of the bottom of the loop. And I'm going to keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. And that's still a little loose, but I don't want to do it too terribly tight. I don't want to break my bead. So now I'm going to take my other pair, or my pair of cutters, and cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take these crimping pliers, and I use the half circles at each end to tuck in the burrs when I cut off wire. Of course, you can do that with regular pliers. I just happen to have these, and I use my other crimpers for crimping, and so I just use these for this. It seems to work well for me, and I wait until I get both of my sides of my loops made before I tuck in my burrs, because if I have that bead to brace against, it helps me. I don't seem to mangle the wire and the loops and everything as badly as I do when I don't, if I do it without a bead on there. So now I'm just going to do that again, and I'm not going to connect these to each other. I'm going to connect them with jump rings because I want my little hearts to lay flat. And I think if I connect them with jump rings, they'll be more likely to lay flat. So I'm going to go down about probably not hardly an inch and a half. Bend the wire over at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the tool. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire. Take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring my wire down. Wrap the short piece of wire around the long piece of wire about 3 times. Take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. Put one of my heart beads on here. Take my pliers, go to the tip of the pliers, bend over at a 90-degree angle, around those pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this piece under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. Take my bent chain nose pliers and hold onto my loop. Bring my wire down. My other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start wrapping. Just wrap till there's no more room to wrap. Take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. Take my crimping pliers, tuck in my burr. So I've only got one more of these to do. Hold on, I'll do it off camera and I'll be back. Okay, I've got all my little hearts wrapped now, and I've got them laying out here so that they're traveling in the same direction, so that they're hanging in the same direction. So now I'm going to take my little 4mm jump rings and just connect them together. So open up my jump ring. Put this one on. Connect it to this one. Take another jump ring. Open it up. Connect this one to this one. Look at that. Now I'll just I'll go ahead and connect these other two off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, I've got all my little hearts linked together here, and now I'm gonna make some simple loops for this side of my necklace. I'm going to use these rondelles. So I've got a piece of 22 gauge wire here. This is about a 4-inch piece of wire. I can't seem to work off the spool like I wish I could, but I can manage with about a 4-inch piece of wire, and I should be able to get several links made out of this. So I'm going to go to the end here, and I'm going to bend over at a 90-degree angle. And I'm going to cut off, and I usually leave about 1/4 of an inch here, but I'm going to leave a little bit more than that because I'm not very good at simple loops. But I've discovered I can make a better one if I make it a little bigger than I usually do. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go to the very end of the wire here with my round nose pliers and start to roll back a loop. And I don't think I left enough wire that time because my loop is not going to be centered. See, that's not good and centered. So I'm going to put my tweezer pliers in here and kink it back a little. And then close it up so that my loop is more centered over my wire. Now I'm going to take one of my rondelles and put it on here, and take my pliers and go a little bit above the bead because I don't want to crack my bead. Bend over at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to cut off, leaving a little over 1/4 of an inch of the wire. Take my round nose pliers and go to the end of the wire and roll back a loop. And my loops are almost never facing the same way when I get done, so I just take 2 pairs of pliers and just twist them until they're facing the same way. Make sure they're good and closed. Now I'm going to take this same piece of wire and go to the very tip. Not the very tip, but go to the end here. Bend the wire over, 90-degree angle. And I don't think I need to cut any of that off, so now I'm going to take my round nose pliers and roll back, make a loop. And it's not centered like I want it to be, so I go in with my tweezer pliers and kink it back. And now close it up. Okay, now I'm going to open this loop. Well, I think I am. Yeah. Open my loop, thread this little link I already made on here. I'll close my loop back. Make sure to get it closed back well. I'm going to put another rondelle on here. Take my pliers, go a little bit above the bead, bend over at a 90-degree angle, cut off, leaving about a little more than 1/4 of an inch. Around those pliers, go to the tip here and start rolling back a loop. Take both my pairs of pliers and straighten up my loops here. Now I'm going to do one more of these and then I'll do the rest of it off camera. So I'm going to go to the end here, kink the wire over. I don't think I need to cut any of that off. So I'm going to roll back my loop. Not centered like I want it to be, so I'm going to put my tweezer pliers in here and kink it back. I think I probably should have cut off just the very tip of that, so I'm going to go in here and cut it off now. Now I'm going to try to close this loop up. Okay, now I'm going to open my loop. Get the right side, the one that opens. Now I'm going to put on these that I've already made. Close my loop back. Another rondelle, put it on here, go a little bit above the bead, bend over at a 90-degree angle, cut off and leave a little more than 1/4 of an inch. That might actually be closer to a 1/2 inch. I'm going to go to the end here and roll back my loop. Take both pairs of my pliers and straighten. Well, that's not too bad. That's fairly straight that time. I think I'll just leave it. So I'm gonna just keep making this little beaded chain until I get it about the same length as these hearts. And when I get done, I'll be back and we'll put it all together. So I'll be back. Okay, I've got my little beaded chain here about the same length as my hearts. And now I've got a piece of the chain that came in the box here. It's about 2-inch piece of chain. And I'm going to take a 4mm jump ring. And thread my chain on it. And put this side of my necklace on here. Close my jump ring back really well. And now I'm going to thread my pendant on my chain. So I'm going to suspend my chain pendant from my little chain here. Now I'm going to take this link at the end here and open it up. and thread it on my chain. Oops. Well, I thought I had my pendant on there and I didn't. I guess I'll open that back up. Do this over. Okay, now I'm going to thread my pendant on here. And now I'm going to thread my chain on here. Close it back up. There, that's what I meant to do. I mean for my hearts to be going the same way as my pendant, like that. I don't know how well they'll stay that way, but that's what was my intention. Now I'm going to take, I've got a couple of pieces of chain here. They're about, I think they're about 4.5 inches each. Yeah, well, a little over 4 inches each. And I've got the rest of my findings here. I'm going to take a 4mm jump ring, open it up, thread on this chain, well, I know that'll go in there. There it goes. And I'm gonna thread on this side of my necklace. Now for this side, I'm just going to open this last link here. And thread on my chain. Close my link up. Sure to get it closed up well. I don't want my little chain sneaking out of there. Okay, now I go to the end here. Take another 4mm jump ring. Open it, thread on my chain, thread on my lobster clasp. Pliers get in the way and I can't get my lobster clasp on there. There we go. I'll close my jump ring back. Now on this side I'm going to take my 6mm jump ring. thread on my chain and my extender chain. And now I'm going to take another 4mm jump ring, open it up, thread on my little heart charm, and put it on the end of my extender chain. Close my jump ring back. So now I'm all done with my necklace. So now hold on, I'll get my stuff that I'm going to use to make my earrings. I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to make my little earring now. So I've got a ball head pin here, and I'm going to put my heart bead on. I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers, bend over to 90-degree angle, put my round nose pliers in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool, kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead, take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop, bring my wire down, either pair of bent chain nose pliers, and start to wrap. Wrap till there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire, take my crimping pliers and tuck in my little burr. Now I've got a piece of my 22 gauge, tiny little piece of my 22 gauge wire here. And I'm going to go to the end here and kink it over. Take my cutters, cut off and leave probably about a 1/2 inch. Around those pliers, go to the very end, roll back a loop, I'm going to take my pliers and open the loop. Well, I can't get that loop open. There we go. Hardest time I've ever had getting the loop open. Now I'm going to thread on my little dangle I've made here with my heart. Close my loop back. I think that's closed back well, I don't know. Now I'm going to take my rondelle and put it on here. Take my pliers, go a little bit above the bead. Bend over to 90-degree angle. Cut off, leaving about a 1/2 inch. Take around those pliers and roll back a loop. Okay, now I'm going to take my I'm going to open this loop here, thread on my ear wire, close my loop back. So now I got a little earring, and I've already, see, I've got it hanging the way I want it to be. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, got a little earring there now. So hold on, I'll make the other one off camera, and then I'll be back. Okay, there is my very asymmetrical necklace and pair of earrings made with the latest GGC's treasure bag, the Sparkling Romance bag. Like I said, this is an absolutely beautiful bag, and her bags always are. And if you think you might want to get the next one, it would be a good idea to go to her website and sign up for her email notifications so you'll be notified when she's about to release the next one. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. I also sell gift cards and some extra beads and findings that I have. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.